Hello, hello. It is day 116 of my 365 days of raw suspending disbelief. Um, and it is August 16th, 2024. I am definitely feeling sort of this. I'm definitely noticing the electrons, I guess, is the thing. And I'm realizing, like, there's a massive, massive up level hitting for me, and with that comes all of the electrons before the neutrons and protons and whatever, like very much feeling that. And yet I'm really able to hold it differently than I have in the past. I'm able to see it for what it is in the moment instead of just in hindsight. I'm able to just sort of hold space for it and be comfortably uncomfortable, I guess you could call it. I'm open to it. I'm you know accepting it for what it is and seeing it for what it is and really just very quickly ready to have it sort of pass through or pass over me and be released. So as these electrons, for any of you who haven't listened to previous episodes, this is around the idea of the a molecule, and the inside sort of being the neutrons, protons, and then outside of it, all of these electrons sort of fly around, and they're like what we perceive as the negative with our manifestations. And when we are calling in our manifestations, what hits us first is those electrons, those negatives, and they aren't actually negative. That's sort of a perspective shift that I've had, that they were just they're just alignment, right? They're things falling away, things being hard, all of that, so that we can be super aligned with what it is that we're calling in. All of it is for a reason. All of it is worth it. And so, as hard things happen, realizing, okay, these are the electrons, and I'm grateful for the things that are falling away, for the lessons that they've taught me. I am grateful for the things that are hard because I'm learning from them. All of that, and then having this shift of instead of like, this isn't what I called in, this negative crap, the fighting or the arguments or the kids lashing out or friendships being tested or any of these things. It's all sort of it's suddenly just through this different lens of like, everything is okay, and this really deep trust of what's meant to be will be, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, has really helped as far as trusting that when there are these hard things happening, that they are really, really in my highest and best good, and in the highest and best good of all. And that the universe, God, source, goddess, whatever it is that you want to call it, knows better than I do. And that it's always for a good reason, and that I always understand it after the fact if I don't understand it now. So knowing that, though, in the moment allows me to release control of it and allow it to, instead of sort of grasping hold of those electrons and like, no, I'm not going to let people go, or I'm not going to, allow things to just implode or explode in my life. I'm going to control this. Instead of that, just sort of letting it pass me by. And it's not easy, but it is fairly simple, right? And again, that's sort of like a thing that I've always taught, that I've always said is like, it's easy, but not necessarily simple. Or it's simple, but not necessarily easy, sorry. But it's sort of this, like, a lot of the time what we do when we manifest is that these electrons hit and we go, no, that's not what I wanted, and we sort of put up a wall. And then the protons and neutrons aren't able to come in after that. So instead, releasing the control of trying to fix things that are trying to fall away, trying to keep them in our lives, trying to, fight for the things that are actually not in alignment with us. It just is not, it doesn't serve us. And what it does is it tells, again, God source universe, that the thing that we were calling in isn't actually what we want, because that thing that we were calling in comes with those electrons. So if we reject those, we reject the whole manifestation. So instead, allowing these difficult things to come and allowing it to continue on through and past us, and then very quickly thereafter receiving the neutrons and the protons that come with it. So again, the neutrons and protons being the positive things that we're manifesting, or i.e. those things that we are suspending disbelief about if you are doing this challenge with me. So that has been a huge shift for me, to be able to, in the moment, see those electrons for what they are and allow and trust, instead of trying to fight and win and, coerce or convince or control in any way. And no matter who, no matter how painful, no matter, no matter what the case is, just really releasing the outcomes and knowing that it's going to be okay, knowing that, people that fall away in our lives are meant to fall away. They're no longer aligned, or they just aren't at this point, and maybe they'll come back around and maybe they won't, and not holding on to an outcome, just allowing. And that's been really powerful for me. It's been very difficult, and there still is, all of the emotions that go with these things happening, and all of the sadness and heartbreak and even anger and, all of these emotions that society frequently deems as negative or bad, they are tied very closely to those electrons as they come in, and then all of the excitement and joy and play and all of that comes in after. And it's sort of been this constant cycle of things falling away or being realigned, in more clarity, in more just absolute perfection. Like it is all for the best. And today was a hard day, but it's also, I can also see the good sort of on the flip side of it, and the shining, with the stuff that's shining through, and at the same time, not having the hard things destroy the good things that have already been coming in. So the business alignment and business success and the momentum that I've been building, not even pausing for a beat, despite really hard and even traumatic things that have happened today and other days throughout this challenge. And yeah, just I'm getting better at allowing my emotions to flow, at just letting the tears flow, at just letting things be, whatever the case is, that whatever's needed, and really knowing what has to still happen and what can just be put on the back burner for a little while, and knowing that it's okay to pause, that it's okay to slow down, that it's okay to say I need a day or a few days or whatever, and yeah, trusting that taking those times off, that taking the breaks, even though it seems that, as my positive manifestations accelerate and the momentum builds and all of that, it seems like there's more of also the electrons, right? And of course there are, because they come together, but at the same time, again, being able to hold them and handle them differently and have them pass through and by me very, very quickly, instead of it being a long drawn out, like I need to take a week off or 2 weeks off in order to recover from this traumatic experience. Now it's like a day or two, and doing that um, without bypassing it all, without skipping over the emotions or without skipping over the lessons that are meant to be learned. Being able to integrate very, very quickly seems to be a result of doing this suspending disbelief and trusting and so on. So it's it's been a rough day. I don't really want to go into the details of it. Yes, this is the real and raw podcast, but it doesn't just affect me, and I don't want to share too many details of other people's lives. So um, yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. I love you. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.